You can see. So Ishi or Claude Desktop will have the ability to using the CLI very natively. And it can actually fetching three workflow with ID and name. So it having some workflow, working stock tracker, stock price via API. Can you check stock price of NVIDIA today? It will trigger my stock tracker workflow. And it will check, okay? And you can see that it will have some like error on input schema. It will knowing that the workflow expecting a stock symbol, and then it will try to run again. The workflow have been killed, but why is this a price? Because the workflow that I have is actually only a lookup link. It needs real API credential. Okay, you can use. Okay, so Vincent, thanks for joining in. I noticed that you dropped something on the message. Let me copy your message in here and then let's review it together on this part. Okay, so let me put it bigger here so that everyone can have a look. All right. So implement open Claude style, continue loop, learning task automation approach, take on better memory system, and so user have doable with couple of click. Have us as community start to use Ishi and share our code with others to leverage it. How the opportunity have been extended. With multi-local agent, sync with AgenticFlow. The last thing is making it usable at local level. So you can start to compile our ability and output at scale in a safe, secure, private environment. I mentioned multi-local agent because we will need to segment out isolated certain activity work. Own while having technical agent that do specific tasks, operation agent, manager, seeing workflow, project topics, concept, then strategic executive team can focus on hard and long-term objective. Okay, that we can need to keep safe and also whip through idea, develop IP, drive direction. Thanks, Vincent. So I think this is very fruitful. I believe that is very similar direction because during New Year, I spent a lot of time to also reflection on what we do and also on what is the direction moving forward. The platform still needs some stability improvement, but we know that there's a change in the space. For example, like open Claude, either things. Open Claude today is, I think, this really take very high already. So let me search for open Claude GitHub. Okay, we can see they're already breaching 200,000 star already, and they are actually like kinds of like surpassing even Linux or other area. So this is kind of like fundamental thing difference in this one, and there's a lot of things that we can learn from them, and also we can take advantage about this trend as well. And thanks for the feedback on this one. Curious to learn. I will check your email right after this one, and then perhaps we can do some discussion on this. Okay. Yeah, so they did some of the good enhancement on security. I think Peter actually he posted on X that he spent a lot of time last few weeks to hardening security and so on. And I think they have resources to do that, and the world is actually helping them to do that. So technically, we can kind of like consider them as a moving gravity. And we can see how can we leverage this trend and take what we learn and perhaps like to complement them rather than like becoming kind of like competing. So I think there's some area that Ishi can really helpful on this area, which I will going to share a bit later. And I also like the way you put about like the multi-local agent and sync with AgenticFlow as a cloud. Yeah. Okay, create a lot of analysis on this and compare with AICF2 article and post. Yeah, I think that this is, I'm really interested to do this one, because, actually, if you notice, I should have, let me connect to my open Claude again. Let me quick connect. Okay. So I think I was planning to share that later, but I think, because we are talking about this one, let me, share, on my, Claude desktop or aka Ishi. Okay. You can see it here. Let me share it on YouTube as well. Stop here, share again on YouTube. Where is it? Okay. So if you notice my Claude Desktop or Ishi now, then actually you go into mission control, and what I was adding here is kind of like a security audit. So this is a new area. So actually this is the implementation of our AI Safe 2. I took the guiding principle in here, and also we apply that. So if people is actually connect to their open Claude gateway, then they have some dashboard like this that they can see the token, but they can actually click on run security audit. And this is going to like run comprehensive gateway and everything over here. It will test some like authentication, network, agent, config protocol, and so on. And it will try to do this one and helping me to debug and like hardening the security of open Claude gateway. So this is like our attempt test on this one, and I believe that this is not something that just one shot to do, but it is actually having the way. So you can see here, so it actually doing some hardening on the security, and it's even like create some to-dos and retrieve some part to double check my open Claude setting. Is it good or not good, and giving myself some suggestion. And I believe that with your like AI Safe 2, we can actually bake that into this kinds of like functionality, so that you can like kind of like one click have something that having an agent that oversight your open Claude setup. It either on a VPS or it either in another computer or a Mac Mini. If you have money to do that, then actually this is something that we can do. And you can see in here, like on what we are talking now, we are actually I'm doing nothing, and just only one command, and also the AgenticFlow actually being trained. No, this is the agent in Ishi actually. It's being trained as professional to do the Claude setup, and it will help you to kind of like hardening. But yeah, absolutely, I can work together with you to integrated AI Safe 2, so that whenever the people actually clicking on security hardening, and actually it's going to reference to AI Safe 2 as a guiding principle, and then it will just executing on the remote open Claude setup, and can even scoring. So as you can see in here, it's actually having some part that see pass. Okay, there's some warning. Okay. It even like having some token that put some token in here, which is not so good. So I need to revoke that right after this meeting. But this is something that interesting to see, and good for people to have a look on this part. Okay. Yep. I think that's it. Maybe let me stop this one. Okay. It finished my testing. It finding some of the problem that I have. Like these are the issue. Like Discord token was plan tag configs. And so on and so on. And the issue is like open port, no resource limit, some issue. So it even give me a score on my open Claude setup. So that is something that I have, but I believe that it can enhance much further on this part. And it's just a starting, and I believe that we can work together on this part. Okay, let's move back to the topic of today. So over the week of holiday, actually the team is on leave, but actually I'm going on and off by visiting the relative and so on. So I'm also working on some of the things. So one of the things that we was reviewing is there's a feedback from a customer that was saying like we need a Telegram agent that actually can feel native and it works, instead of like ad hoc integration at the moment. So what we are we are doing is actually we make it available. So actually now you can actually chat with your AgenticFlow agent via Telegram. So let me show you how. This is my agent. So this is the agent that I connected my AgenticFlow agent already, and then I just say hi. And this agent is actually powered by AgenticFlow as a platform, and it is native. And all you need to do is actually creating a token on Telegram and just paste the token in. And the agent in AgenticFlow can actually working as per normal. Okay. Let me see if okay. He has to answer. Okay. What would you like to do next? New image, cat, portrait. Okay. Can you create an image of a cat riding a bike? So this agent is not only able to chat back and forth, it can also using tool call as well. So whatever that you are currently having in AgenticFlow, for example, like running a workflow or trigger a plugin or doing kinds of like skill and so on, this agent will capable of doing that. And it all interacted via your Telegram agent. And yeah, you can see in here. So the agent is actually going to reply. So you can see it is using the plugin AgenticFlow generate image right now, and it's going to kind of like finish in a moment, and we can actually test that. Okay, so this is the image of a cat riding a bike. So let me click on this one. Right, so as you can see, so it is actually able to use. So this is the demo of like how you can chat with a Telegram agent in this one. And this is still like a new feature. So, but later we are going to add some feature. For example, like you can slap to create a new section, or you can actually doing some stop command, or maybe doing some change command that you are allowing the customer to do. Because we designed the AgenticFlow in the Telegram integration is kind of like a publishing channel. So this publishing channel is allowing you to connect a Telegram agent to your existing AgenticFlow agent. So let me show you how you configure that in your AgenticFlow. Let me switch on this one. Is there any way? Okay, listen, I know it's a more friendly name to the tool workflow or nothing else. Yeah, I think we can casually doing something about that. So at the moment, because we are taking the kinds of like the workflow username, so that is not friendly, but I think we can easily change it into something like workflow name. So workflow name is going to be something that you define on the top, and I think that is something that definitely we can enhance that easy. So allow me to switch into my AgenticFlow, and I will show you on this one. Okay, this is here, and you will see that there is. Let me refresh this page first. So I'm in the kinds of like activity center, and actually I having some conversation, and as you see in here, there's an anonymous actually because I was chatting with the agent with like no authentication. So you can click in here and you will see that the agent is actually responding to me. And this is our conversation. So this is how it looks like. So there's someone that asking the agent to do, and agent is doing the tool call, which is AgenticFlow, and this is responding the email back to the user. So that is just, you can control your agent workflow, and this is a similar like just like normal. So how you configure this agent? So you go into the agent workflow in here. So in this one, actually I'm creating an agent, and what I was doing is very simple. I just adding the plugin, which is AgenticFlow generate image, and you can add anything. Consists of like plugin, MCP, workflow, you name it. But this is not something that I'm showing here. So what you can do is actually you can click on share button over here, and then you click on publishing. So before we were only having AgenticFlow, and also we have some other platform that you can publishing on the web. For example, like chat widget and chat UI. But right now, because we have some platform available, like Discord, we have been that in a while, but I noticed that not many people are using that. So right now we are using Telegram. So by having Telegram is also very easily. So you just click on this Telegram, and then you follow the instruction, which is there will be a link here. It will open the web page like this one. It gives you an introduction to developer. But what you need to do is very simple. You just need to go into BotFather. So to get started, you just message the BotFather on Telegram to register your bot and receive the authentic token. So this one is a lot of guy on this one already. Okay, so you just message the BotFather, and then you slash new bot, and then you name the bot, for example, like some example bot, with say some example bot in here. And then he will give you a token, which is this token. So what you need to do is just like copy this token and going back in the AgenticFlow and paste that in here. So let me create a new agent on this part. Let me go to agent. Let me new agent from scratch, like test Telegram agent 2. I create an agent, and I'm going to show here, and I go publishing, and I go to Telegram, and then it just, this is the UI where you have not connect your agent into Telegram, but you can click here, and actually it's going to show you like the Telegram token that you already saved in your workspace or project. And what you need to do is you just need to click create test token, and you can name it you can paste the token that you get from BotFather here. And I just click connect in here. And then you can select that Telegram token. And that should be okay. And there's a setting that you need to configure. For example, like on, which is everyone can use the bot, or allow list, only specify user. So you need to put the username of the user in here. For example, like John_Dow or J Smith. So without this one, they will not able to chat with the agent. Actually, our agent is going to ignore that message from that user. So for now, it just says on, and then you click connect to Telegram on this part. Yep. So right now it's failed to connect because actually my token is not real. But actually you can just click to BotFather and chat with him and get a token and come back. And this is it's very simple. It's the only thing that you need to do is to create a token and embedding it here, and everything else is normal. Okay. That's super easy to do on this one, and I will not repeat. I will go back to Discord if you have any question. No, I think so. Let me go on also on YouTube as well. Okay, I thought that we don't have any question on this one. Okay, this is something new, which is the AgenticFlow publishing to Telegram. And furthermore, we are going to pick from OpenCloud, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Slack, and so on, so on. So that's what we promised you, right? We will learn from what OpenCloud is doing good, and then we will enhance AgenticFlow to become more powerful in this area. So we will give more, besides like stability enhancement that we do every week, we are also going to add you some feature that are within our scope of work on this part. All right, so that is Telegram agent that you can publishing today. Okay, let's move on. The second thing that I would like to spend some time to talk about today is related to OpenCloud as well. So let me share my screen on that. The second things that I'm going to talk about today is actually this is about MCP. So few months ago, actually Anthropic is releasing this blog post. They are actually talking about something interesting. So it is talking about the it is talking about the context uses. You see this blue area. So this is the MCP tool. So it actually had the context. So it's kind of like a short-term memory of AI. And this context is limited. And if you consume a lot of context, then the agent have very small windows to think and making good decision. And MCP, unfortunately, is actually causing a bottleneck for context engineering. And that's actually something that Anthropic or Claude introduced, but they realize that this is becoming a bottleneck. So they try to solve that. So they are introducing a blog post like this one. They are introducing the advanced tool use. So basically, they are trying to fix this problem by having a tool that search another tool on demand instead of like trying to load everything into context of the AI. And that is kind of like a bad ad fix. But actually that is something they have to do, right? Because they are creating a problem. And right now they are actually introducing this one to solve the problem. So that is Anthropic. The second one is OpenCloud. So this is Peter. So he is the father of OpenCloud. OpenCloud do not support MCP. They are only using MCP Porter, which is the MCP-to-CLI converter. So basically they are taking MCP server endpoint, but they do not stash that MCP endpoint into the context of the AI agent conversation, but he wrapped it over a CLI. So actually it making the MCP acting as a CLI for the agent. CLI is stand for command line interface. So it's kind of like a machine to machine communication channel, and it's efficient and also it's fast because actually the agent actually having very good CLI use because they are training on data a lot. And not only OpenCloud, but also Cloudflare. Cloudflare is a very big company and they have a big problem. So they also releasing a blog post. Actually, they're releasing the first one, I think in somewhere in September, I think. But right now they are actually, they just releasing a blog post on this one to reinforce on this one. So they are reasoning that MCP is becoming a standard. But the problem with MCP is it too costly? So they have the OpenAI spec, which is around 2 million tokens of the context. So if you feed the entire spec into the context, no AI able to use that. And the MCP is going to cost around 1.1 million token if they feed everything. And they are putting into his one, they introducing a new code mode, which is reducing this one into 0.5% of the token. So how they do that? So what they do is actually they are doing a search. So they are trimming everything. They leave only two things. What is search and execute. So everything, when an agent need to do something, it will search first and then it will execute later. So I will not go into detail. This is a very nice blog post. I think you should read it. But what I would like to emphasize is MCP is very convenient and is it a standard, but it is also causing some problem. The problem is engineering. And if you're finding that the agent is getting dumper over time, or maybe you cannot instruct it to do something, this is because of the context engineering. So this is the MCP is overloading the context. For example, like you connect with your guys up like MCP for Gmail, and let me check how many tools that Gmail have. Let me search on this one, MCP. Let me search on Gmail. Click on Gmail. Gmail have 16 tools, and each of the tool in here, actually it's having a lot of like text that we actually feed into the context of the agent. So you can read the details here. Okay, so all of the context the agent will get with this page. And this is a simple page. But if you have 16 of that, or maybe some MCP server have 48 or more of that, so easily your agent is going to dumper very fast. So we are taking a attempt and we need to pick a side. So we also having around 400 API the API in AgenticFlow. And we would like to enable that for agent to use on your behalf. So MCP cannot scale for that. And we will jump into this problem of Cloudflare. We will jump into this problem. The token is too much for an agent to load before it even do anything. So we pick a solution and we choose CLI. So this is actually reinforcing in this picture. So this picture I was sharing with everyone in early of like January when we are making Ishi as a companion to AgenticFlow. So we were saying that the ecosystem is splitting. Ishi is becoming your daily driver and AgenticFlow can be becoming your heavy lifter. So it means Ishi will need to have some way to delegate and communication with AgenticFlow natively. Originally, we plan to using MCP, but MCP having problem like what I just told you. Then we are saying that we would like to introducing a CLI. So this is also a new. So AgenticFlow CLI right now is available. It is on NPM. It was coded by TypeScript, and it is a wrapper of our SDK. And it having the so this install, quick start, how it can use authentication and so on. So basically, this is very simple. You just need to type AgenticFlow login, and then you just paste your AgenticFlow API key, where you can actually just extracting that from your works your project, and just paste that one. This key going to store on your computer. Then you can use all of the operation. So the operation that we are introducing in here is that you can click on this one. You will see that we have workflow where you can list, get, create, update, delete. You can execute a workflow, run. You can check a run status. You can list run history, validate the metadata of the workflow, reference impact, and there's some other like smart connection resolution as well. So this is kind of like some playbook that we left there so that the AI agent like Ishi can actually getting smarter over time, and it actually can operate that on your behalf. And it can also operate on your agent, including list, get, create, update, delete, even streaming. So it means this streaming is very important because it means Ishi can actually delegate tasks to an agent on AgenticFlow during the conversation. So if you are handling some tasks to Ishi and Ishi believes that, or maybe you instruct Ishi that say, we have an agent on agent this already, use that. then Ishi will able to control that agent, delegating tasks to that agent and waiting for that agent to complete. So we also giving some payload or streaming payload, like what can you help me with and so on. And we also making some node type available so that actually Ishi or any AKI agent can actually discovering what are the nodes that we are supporting in AgenticFlow, and even like checking which connection that you already have in the platform, so that when you are constructing a new workflow or a new agent, instead of like pasting the token every time, you just connect one into AgenticFlow connection, and then the new agent or new workflow can reusing that connection automatically. And this is interesting. You can even upload file from your computer to AgenticFlow AI drive, getting a URL, using that URL to submit a workflow or send to an agent to anywhere, all within Ishi or any of the AI coding agent that you currently have. And yeah, so that is it. You can also do some, we also bake in some of the step-by-step process so that your AI agent, as long as it's smart, it can verify, it can get node, it can get connection, it can validate workflow, it can create, run, troubleshooting, and so on and so on. So this CLI is going to really boost up the agent capability to doing more things for you. So let me show you what is mean by this. Okay. But firstly, let me come back to Discord. Maybe if I'm lost in you or not. Okay. All right. So let me clear a new chat. And what I'm going to ask it to do now is to read this one. Help me to use AgenticFlow CLI to fetch my top 3 workflow. You can see. So Ishi or Claude Desktop will have the ability to using the CLI very natively. And it can actually fetching 3 workflow with ID and name. So it having some workflow, working stock tracker, stock price via API. Can you check stock price of NVIDIA today? It will trigger my stock tracker workflow. And it will check, okay? And you can see that it will have some like error on input schema. It will knowing that the workflow expecting a stock symbol, and then it will try to run again. The workflow have been killed, but why is this a price? Because the workflow that I have is actually only a lookup link. It needs real API credential. Okay, you can use the web fetch on AgenticFlow to do this. Why don't you update the workflow with that node and try again? Oh, sometimes it's actually using the MCP server because I already have the MCP server open. So sometimes that's mixed up between. Sometimes we will need to disable the MCP server so that it's not mixed up between these two. When it turns back to shell, run updated workflow and check status. Actually, this one is going to try some updating and information because in here, actually it's interfering between these two. When I have both MCP server and also the CLI open. So technically we need to disable one in order to test the other. But that is what it means. So right now we are releasing the CLI as an alpha, and what I'm going to do is actually going to having some of the skill that using this CLI that bake into the AgenticFlow skill. So you can click on this one and click on skill, and then maybe you can uninstall the previous skill like this, uninstall it, and then just download the latest skill. So this skill is actually going to bake with some of the CLI command and instruction, so that your agent is going to be getting better of using this with some of the CLI command, because CLI is going to have some operation that MCP do not have. For example, upload a file from your computer to AI drive or do some further thing. And because CLI is making it easier for us to interacting between like the file system in the local machine with the like AgenticFlow API. So it's going to be get more updated and will make it faster comparing to the MCP server. And I think for MCP server, it will support for some of the agent that will not have file system access. But for the for example, like Ishi or Claude, actually it have file system access. So we were strongly using those CLI better on this area. Okay. Yep. So I think that is that I would like to share on this area. And for now, I think that's something new. So the CLI is going to be something that we are experimenting. It is very in alpha state at the moment, but we can anticipate that CLI will allowing you to do whatever that you can do on AgenticFlow via UI at the moment. And because eventually, I think you will not creating workflow or agent by yourself a lot. You will have some AI coding agent like Ishi or even Claude Code or Codex or whatever. So instead of like force you to work with Ishi only, we give you a CLI so that you can actually giving that to your Claude Code or Codex or whatever and let it learn, let it understand, and let it using the AgenticFlow system on behalf of you. And yeah, thanks Scorpio. So because CLI will allow us to do more. So we can enable the file upload, enable the knowledge upload. We can even like doing some kinds of like MCP server search. So MCP2 is a lot, right? So we have around 2,000 MCP server and they have 10,000 tools. So this is extremely hard to pack into the agent context, but we can make an MCP search and MCP execute. And that operation is taking only few tokens for the agent to do. And that's going to be much easier. And this CLI even can be used by OpenCloud agent or any other agent that have the runtime. So it could be an agent that living on your computer like Ishi, or it could be a agent that on your VPS or Claude Code or anything like that. So CLI is our answer to the age of agent. We hope that AgenticFlow can be an agent native platform so that it can serving as a headquarter so that your agent can delegate to this one. Okay. So how do we generate free account or create router to leverage multiple free account on different use case? If we have paid account, allow us to easily shape upon use case those tokens are used. How can we do it with Ishi? Almost like a gateway. We connect to it first, determine the context to route per guidance. When you say free account, is it a Google account or what kinds of account? Okay. So I think this is doable by asking Ishi to modify its config. So let me show you. So when you go in here into Ishi, and then you go into this one and you go into connect to provider. Actually, all of these provider as on UI, but it is technically it's a config file. So if you go into the config folder, I think you can go to skill and then you can click on this open folder. It will lead you into a config folder. You will find that there's a folder that will open up the config file. And what you might need to do is to modify it manually. And then it will kind of like allow new option to be selected in order to split. So for now, I think on this current version, we are not display on that. But I think in the test version, we allowing add a custom provider. So actually we have a custom provider. So you can click on add custom provider and you can add provider ID, name, the base URL, and API key. So what I'm thinking is you can actually add Google account 1 and then you put the base URL of Google, you put the API key here, and then you save that. Even like you can add the model ID and model name. For this model ID and name, you can check in the config file and it will show you like what is the convention of that provider. So what I'm thinking is you can actually creating multiple custom provider like this, and then you just select that one to use. And Ishi can have ability to have you to do that locally on your file. For AgenticFlow, sometimes it's not easy because those token and key will not be rotate automatically, and we have no mechanism Ishi in order to using the token in your computer to rotate and so on. Yeah. So for now, I think Ishi himself can actually connect to OpenAI, your Pro and Plus subscription, your Google Anti-Gravity, and your Anthropic Pro and Pro Max key is already working on Ishi, because actually we have a way to do that locally on your computer, just as on AgenticFlow is not feasible, because it's just not the way it works. We have to do some workaround in order to make it work, and I don't think that Anthropic or Google like that approach. So they try to prevent, and even if you click on here, you will see that is some warning. This uses is not aligned with their term of service, so sometimes that will causing some problem. And so I would suggest that you use some account that not your main account on this area. So I think that's it. So for today, only two things that I would like to share. Ishi and Claude is exactly the same. So they are just having two icons, but they are same app, same application, same everything. So it will have the mission control, and Ishi Pro actually same with Claude Pro. So you can using the same email that you have checked out in Ishi to log into Claude desktop and the way around. So right now, the version latest is not the one. Actually, the version latest is the one on our Discord. I was sharing that in announcement. So it was, I think, on this was this area. This was beta 2, I think. Where is that? Let me drop that into the group. Okay. So it was beta 7. Let me drop that back into our stage. So because Ishi now is not stable, so we are still doing some testing. We was doing some testing over the holiday, but it's all enough actually. So what I'm doing now is actually we will try to make a 0.2.0 stable. So at least we will have a version of Ishi that packed with latest information and auto update. But we need more testing, of course. Same. So Claude will be same. We will benchmark and making Claude and Ishi in the same version name, so that easy. You can using either app. It's just different in the icon. So everything is the same. So it means that we have some like mission control. You can do some security audit. There's some small button. It's a nuke button. So you can actually like terminate the daemon of the Open Claude gateway just by one button, and doing some of the other item as well. You can connect to your Open Claude by Open Claude. Click on this one. You can select whatever the thread that your agent on Open Claude is doing, and we do some testing, and actually it worked. We still need to do some testing further on this one. You can go into setting, and you can go to connection on Open Claude to connect it to your agent in this one. And there's some instruction in area, and you can just do connection to that. And make sure your computer can connect to that machine in via internet, or maybe you make it into the same tail scale and so on. So maybe we will need another video to explain for that later on that area. Yep. Any other question? How hard to connect to beta 7? Yeah, I have to test on this one, but what to say? GitHub, Claude. Can you download the latest version, which is beta 8? I think the email was fixed somewhere in beta 7 or something. I need to check again. If you still have seen that problem, please let me know. Yeah. So can I create agent with own system prompt and own the plugin, own the node with the prompt in them? Yeah. So regarding the CLI and so on, it needs some guiding in the skill in order to make it working. So what I'm suggesting is you can download some of the working workflow in AgenticFlow, put that into a folder, and then let Ishi or any agent to mimic that, to learn the pattern. Actually, in AgenticFlow skill, we already give some sample and guiding principle, but yes, the agent have no context about that, so that they need to learn. So in Ishi, actually we make it easy because we can pack that into a skill, and it isn't one of the official skill here. You just install and it's work. But if you're using other, maybe you need to reinstall this skill for them. Yes, Anton, you can use. Okay, thanks Vincent. I will check on the activation on the email. Anton, yes, you can use CLI without using Ishi app. I will drop the dev docs in here. Where is that? Yeah. Yep. So this is the docs of CLI. It's live now. It's still alpha version. But I think you can test it, and we will iterative it fast, because it will allow some operation that MCP do not have. Upload your file and so on. So I think that there was someone in our group also building something that will asking for the access to AI Drive. So you can do it now. You can ask AgenticFlow CLI to upload a file. Actually, it is quite tricky because the upload that we are having is require some special operation. You need to call the server. The server will give you a signed URL. You need to using that URL in order to upload to our CDN. So that's why it is quite tricky for doing over the normal way. So I think you can just give that to your agent and ask him how to use that. I think they will figure that. I think the agent is smart now. I don't know that yet. I need to ask my engineer. So yeah, I cannot answer now. I think there will be some limitation, but I don't know the details. Yeah. Please treat them as a experimental CLI and also interface. Because it actually going to impacting the service quality as overall. Yeah. Local memory. Yeah. I think 5 system is the basic one. Oh, Ishi building a Electron app with remotion. Nice. Hey, the remotion having a very good remotion skill. So actually, they are actually quite good as well. You can actually bake Ishi, and even like you can one of the things that I should share with everyone is if you go into npm JS and you search for AgenticFlow CLI, you will find us here. And if you change this one into AgenticFlow SDK, why? Oh, it should be here. Wow. Anyway, okay, this one. It is actually a package. So we also having an SDK, so you can use AgenticFlow in your app by giving this one to Ishi or Cloud Code or anything, and it is kind of using AgenticFlow as a backend for your application. So maybe something that you find AgenticFlow already good. Maybe you can create a workflow in AgenticFlow and then using this SDK to code that workflow when your user click a button on your app. So this is something new that we introducing. So when we're thinking about CLI, we were thinking like, instead of just doing in CLI, like in CLI, we would like to give you something that you can build it with it as well. So we're making the SDK. The CLI is actually just a wrapper around the SDK. So anything that you can do with CLI, you can do that in your application with an SDK. So as long as you give a key, the workspace ID and project ID, then your application can actually using AgenticFlow as a powerhouse to do whatever that we currently have in here. So I think that is a good start. If you would like to build something on top of AgenticFlow, it's still early. We are still doing very alpha on this one, and there may be some bug on this one. But over time, I think the bug will get fixed. And I anticipate that maybe later you will have your agent will spend more time on the CLI and SDK, and you're only using AgenticFlow as a platform to control, to view the dashboard, the tasks, do some configuration, connection, but everything else can be done by either Ishi or your favorite coding agent. Thanks No Name. I think the UI is quite nice on the Web 2 video. Nice. So paste a video take a website and then create a video via remotion MCP server or scale. I think that is a very nice process. Have you tried this one? They have a remotion skill. You also using their skill as well in order to creating a comprehensive, because they actually having some expertise in using remotion, and they cook that information. So technically we can doing that. Yeah. npx skill add remotion dev and skill and create video. Okay. Yeah. Also, I like the remotion. I need to try that as well with Ishi and so on. All right. So I think that's it for today. So recap. So we have Telegram now. Go try it. We have a CLI with an SDK alpha, but I believe that's going to be good in short term. And hope you can give it a try. And if you have anything, please let me know. And yeah, I will talk to you next week.